Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Anything going on?
No, very much.
Not at all. Good
very
to see
little.
You, by the way. All right, so the market moved yesterday on the headlines, but the Dow didn't fall 800.
Correct.
Okay, the Dow fell under 200.
Not very impressive.
We need to remember that.
Right.
What do you think is going to be the ultimate outcome as the Democrat, and I don't want to make it political, but as the Democrats move forward with this inquiry, will the market react or will the market sort of stay where it is because people believe that even if he's impeached, it's just a charge and the likelihood of being removed from office and a constitutional crisis is exceptionally low?
Right. Well, I think the place we have to start is this has to become an actual inquiry first, and I believe...
We're not even there yet. We're inquiring about an inquiry.
Correct. This is just an announcement. It's more of a political note than anything else. To have an inquiry, the House has to vote for impeachment. Everybody has to
Which is likely, though, Joe.
Which it is likely, but they haven't done it yet. And once that happens, then they get the powers that go with the impeachment inquiry. That will have, but it is a long, grinding process, and it then becomes part of the background. And I don't think that will have that much effect on the markets. The thing I do worry about is its effect on consumers.
Well, that's it.
And on spending, because the Americans don't tend to like the shenanigans in D.C. or the political gamesmanship in D.C.
Well, they become such a bigger part of our life, right?
Exactly.
D.C. is now sort of dominating our daily news coverage.
That's correct.
It wasn't that way even 10 years ago.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it doesn't sit well with Americans. If you look at what happened over the government shutdown, as brief as it was and impartial as it was, consumer sentiment in both the major surveys took a real hit. Came back. So if this grinds on like that and continues to dominate news, I think it will have an effect on consumer spending, which could be a problem.
Now, if Trump is impeached, he will be the fourth president to have been impeached. I don't know the market data around Andrew Johnson, so let's put him in the past.
One vote, I think.
Yeah, it was one vote away from sort of being removed. And yesterday on MSNBC, I said he was removed. My presidential history was off. My Millard Fillmore game is strong. But so let's forget about Andrew Johnson. The market basically bottomed with Nixon in '74. In 1998, Bill Clinton was impeached. The market soared higher. Of course, we had the internet boom.
Right.
And the new economy being created as well. Is it more of a political show than a market-moving event?
In this case, I think it is.
And I'm not minimizing it in any way. I'm talking about the markets.
Right. I think it probably is. Look, you don't know where, once you start down a road like this, you can never be sure where it actually leads. You can't be sure what the House, if they put forth a real impeachment inquiry and start actually subpoenaing people, getting people in front of committees, you don't know where it actually ends up.
Yes.
And there's always a possibility that something comes out that is very damaging, and that would definitely affect the market.
Because the market now seems to assume, and if you look at the predicted market, when I say the market's also predicted, the online betting site, the odds of actual removal from office are tiny. But because we say, well, don't worry, the Republicans control the Senate and they're not going to do it. We don't know what each senator would do if it gets that far. Maybe Trump's made enemies. Maybe they want him go. We have no idea how those individuals may vote. Do we need to then place perhaps a greater risk premium, at least a little bit? Because if we have a president that ultimately is removed from office.
Correct.
That's a shock.
That's a shock, and that would be a huge negative and risk factor for all the markets. It definitely would. You would see the yields come off substantially. You would be looking at all sorts of recession talk. You would be looking at depressed consumers. I really think if you had that kind of event, it would really impact consumers.
Because it's not that Trump is benefiting the market or not, and that's what I want to be clear of. All the dialogue is basically this. If this is that far along the way, Americans may say, hey, we better not buy a house.
That's correct.
Let's not buy a car. We don't know. It sort of paralyzes the country with a 16-point font on the top of the newspaper.
You're absolutely right. And that's one of the things that really should be considered as far as the effects of this going forward. And the market has definitely not priced in any sort of real risk premium for this.
Yet?
Not yet.
You think it will?
I think not yet, but I think it could in a few weeks if it continues.
Oh, Joe Trevisani, good morning, I think.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thanks
for joining us.